What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the FloGrappling Show, a.k.a. the worst show on the internet. As always, we got Joey Gilps right here, Uncle Reed right there, and then Big Slack Barrett's back after, a long-awaited return. Give it up for Big Slack Barrett. He's back. But this is a very special edition show because I'm wearing jorts, baby. Dude, look at these bad boys. I had to bust these things out. I've been hitting this move in the office all day. Everyone's going crazy for it, dude. I got my jorts on. I'm feeling good.
I was wondering what everybody was hooting and hollering about when I walked in.
Oh, man, it's been...
Do you feel more John Cena or do you feel more Stone Cold? Like what level, where are we going?
A blue-collar guy like me with heavy hands could only answer that one way, and that's Stone Cold. You know what I'm saying? Freaking, it's like, go ahead and toss me the beers. I'll freaking slam them right here in our office at noon, But crazier things have happened in the Flow office, that's for sure. But, excited to be back in studio. We missed a week last week because me and Reed were in Japan. And it was
heard of it?
Yeah, ever heard of it, dude? And the week before that, we did a WNO recap coming to you guys from Costa Mesa. But now we're back here in studio. And boy, oh boy, was it an exciting weekend of grappling. If you're a grappling fan, this weekend was pretty sick, We had UFC BJJ's finale show. We had Polaris, AIGA,
American Nationals, Brasileiros.
Tons of stuff, tons of jiu-jitsu to watch. Hard to catch up on all of it. I had 8 TV screens going in my 200 square foot apartment, just freaking, looking at everything all at once. I was looking at everything and seeing nothing. I was hearing, some things, but watching everything. It was nuts, What was you guys' experience
like? Sick weekend.
Yeah, dude, it was crazy.
Good weekend, dude.
And I wore these jorts all weekend, bro. These are dirty as can be.
That's the smell, then.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were also
we could tell.
There was a WWE event too, right?
Yeah,
John Cena.
Night of Champions.
Yeah.
I wasn't really sure what was going on with this one. This was like they just snuck in a pay-per-view kind of in a way.
They do the Saudi shows like every once in a while. They have a nice contract to go over there and do that kind of thing. That's where the real money's at.
Yeah, got to get that bag.
Yeah, we got to get a contract with those guys. Yeah, for sure.
I'm not going to lie. That's a little bit of a jiu-jitsu thing that happens. Some guy wins a big tournament, goes and does some seminars in like Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Saudi, Get that bag.
I hear there's some money over there.
Yeah. But overall, sick weekend of grappling. I think we'll, try and recap some of it as best as we can. Obviously, we can't watch all of it all the time. We tried our best for sure, but some cool stuff happened. And then I think later on we're going to talk about some WNO stuff, the WNO stuff that we already have announced and everything. There's been a few matches, and we're looking for a match for one special grappler. We're trying to find this guy an opponent, so we can talk about that too.
It makes it sound like he's a Make-A-Wish kid. And for one really brave little guy, we're gonna.
Yeah, but what do you guys want to talk about first? Should we talk a little Japan?
Yeah, let's talk Japan. I really want to hear about you guys' time in Japan.
Yeah, I mean, Japan was awesome. So obviously we went out there for the Asian Championship. That's kind of like the next IBJJF tournament they're trying to bring up to a major caliber event. Obviously right now they have Euros, Pans, Brasileiros, and Worlds. And I think there's talks of them trying to really blow up the Asian Championship and kind of make it potentially another addition to the Grand Slam, which would obviously be cool. It's cool going around the world with grapplers. I think that's one of the best parts of jiu-jitsu, in my opinion, is you really do see these same groups of people just all over the world, and it would be sick to add a major Asian championship to that as well, which is kind of what's going on right now at the Asian Championship. But Reed, you were there with me. We didn't need a visa for this one, so we was able to make it.
So I made it.
What you got any opening thoughts or anything about Japan?
Man, just awesome. I'd never been to Japan, my first time in Japan, so awesome to go over there and get to train with a lot of the locals and all the Japanese grapplers who are making waves over there. We got to train with Shoya Isagura.
Yeah.
He showed us around Tokyo as well, so that was one of the funnest things we did. We just put out a vlog. Of course, you can watch that on our YouTube channel where we got to kind of hang around with Shoya. He showed us how to do some things like the locals do. Got to train with him. He beat us up.
Shoya's a beast.
Yeah,
Shoya's a beast and one of the nicest dudes we've ever trained with. He really pulled out all the stops, wanted to show us Tokyo, his city, wanted to help put Japan on the map and everything. Go back to the beginning of this video and pull this up for him, Greg, because
run it back.
Yeah, run it back. The very beginning of this is just in the middle of Shibuya Crossing, and boy, oh boy, was that, stressful to film. Go to the very start.
First shot, right?
Yeah, first shot. It's right there in the middle of Shibuya Crossing, dude. A lot of people asking us, how do we film that? There's a Starbucks that overlooks Shibuya Crossing. If you just run up there, no one really asks you any questions in Japan, to be honest. So you can just run up to the window and film it from there. But that was super sick. It was sick hanging out with Shoya and everything. I gotta say though, my number one favorite thing about Japan. You gotta guess what it is, Reed?
Number one favorite thing about Japan, they didn't have garbage cans anywhere.
I mean, that was fascinating.
So
that they didn't.
like if you brought garbage, you had to take it with you.
Yeah, you just had garbage on your person. For everyone was like, "What's your EDC, Trey? What's your EDC?" And I'm like, "I got 3 things of empty Velos. I got 2 empty coffee cups." You know, like normally people have like sick knives and stuff. Not me. I had a bunch of trash because there were no trash cans. But no, the coolest thing was the vending machines.
Vending
bro.
machines.
I watched the video.
Yeah.
So I was like, I think it's
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
the vending machines were absolutely electric. Just every block, there's a new vending machine. They all have cold brews, teas, waters, you name it, they got it.
Is it hard to like translate some of them, like with some of the stuff? Like for some of the packages, that just make no sense. If
Had absolutely no idea what I was.
That's
every time, basically. Like,
That's the fun part about the vending machines. Is like you're kind of like rolling the dice a little bit on what you're getting because you can't read anything, and you're just like, all right, I'll pick this one.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a tea. It's a peach tea.
Were a decent
Okay.
amount of the restaurants you went to like that too, where you like had a button to push and things, or
Yeah, it would, like there was a ramen spot we ended up hitting a few times where it's like you walk in and there's just like a little kiosk and you just like punch in what you want, and like for sure we were guessing on everything. Some things do have like English translations like on those ramen machines and stuff, but it's still kind of a roll of the dice for what we were really getting. And then it spits out a ticket, and eventually like sometimes they'll yell at you and they'll be like, wait outside because like it's packed, these tiny little ramen shops and stuff. And so we'd have to like walk back outside and just stand on the street, and then they'd be like, hey, come in. Massive American guys, the dudes who are 3 times bigger than anyone else in this restaurant, come on in, we'll put you in the back corner. And then you like give them your ticket from the machine, and they'll like just bring out your ramen how it says on the ticket. So it was super sick doing all of that for sure though. But Shoya was the man, dude. This is what you're seeing in the video here. This is Carpe Diem Mita. This is Shoya's like home gym where he trains. Carpe Diem kind of dominates Tokyo for sure. They have tons of branches and locations. I think there's also like a big contingent of Triforce and a few other gyms as well.
Igloo has some good people.
Yeah, Igloo. Maybe Bonsai, right? Is there?
I think there's a bonsai, yeah.
I think that's Uke.
Yeah. But this is Mita. There's also, we went to Carpe Diem Hyro, which is a little bit bigger of a gym. And I know Shoya look at this, almost took his back.
Let's go. Showing him who's
And look at this escape, dude. That was so nuts. Like,
and it ends up kind of inside control.
just smashing me. Like, yeah, I was like, all right, well, that's tough. That's a tough look. But this is Danilo Hamazaki also. He was there. Super dope dude. He had a great run at the Asian Championship. But yeah, overall, Japan was a great vibe. I mean, me and Reed talked about this some while we were there and everything. Like, this is one of the coolest things about doing jiu-jitsu is whenever you do jiu-jitsu, when you love jiu-jitsu and you just love training, you can go anywhere in the world and just find a jiu-jitsu gym. Like at this point, they are all over the world, and just drop in, pay a freaking day pass. And it's like, you kind of have a crew. Like it's a cheat code to just getting to be a part of the culture a little more, to getting a more inside look and everything. Cause like the minute we were in there and like with these guys, it was like, oh, okay, sick. Like me and Reed would go to these spots and we'd have no idea what's going on. It would be so confusing. I didn't know if we were in the best neighborhood, the worst neighborhood, the coolest neighborhood. I had no idea. It's just hard to tell.
You're in the dork neighborhood.
Yeah,
Nobody
exactly.
wants that.
Yeah, I'm not trying.
Oh, I'm in the freaking dorks neighborhood. Oh,
Yeah, do you have any idea what that would do to my reputation if people found out I was hanging out in the dork neighborhoods?
a big issue.
Brutal.
Yeah, and I kept being like, "Oh, what neighborhood are we in, Reed? Oh no, another peep show? What are we doing?" No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, here.
There's a lot of red
Oh,
lights in this district for
Yeah,
some reason.
and Reed would be like, "I don't know, man. You kind of you're the one on Google Maps bringing us here over," and I'm like, "What? What do you mean? I don't read Japanese." But no, I'm just kidding.
Somebody bumps into you. Dude.
Yeah, I speak fluent, but that really is the coolest part. Like, I recommend anybody if go on a jiu-jitsu vacation where your intention is to go there, train, start talking to people. Everyone at the gym loves talking to like visitors, all of that. Like, I feel like that's true in America too, and you will just kind of get a new access to wherever you are because of everyone who's like stoked that you came to visit, and that they're just stoked about the commonality of loving jiu-jitsu. It gets you very far in the world, I guess is my point.
100%. Yeah. If you haven't traveled for jiu-jitsu, like go out there and do it, man, because you have this built-in community. No matter where you go in the world, really anywhere in the world, you can find a jiu-jitsu gym. You can find a group of like-minded individuals who want to show you what the good places to eat nearby are, what the good kind of, off the beaten path tourist destinations are, you know, and it's just such an incredible part about traveling for jiu-jitsu. And, you know, the first day we were in Tokyo, we were exploring, we were figuring everything out, we were riding the metro, and we were, you know, it's like we were just a step behind everything, you know, trying to figure out, you know, we don't speak the language, we don't read the language and stuff, so we were trying to figure things out, and we were always just a step behind. And then just going out here with Shoya, and this is where we went to the Asakusa.
Yeah, Asakusa, which is kind of like a little neighborhood, and there's a temple right there is kind of like the main feature point, and then there's a long street of markets. You can see the temple behind him right there in the video. He said it's one of the oldest temples in Japan that's from the Edo period and everything, which obviously, like, just seeing all this stuff is like, it's very breathtaking the whole time, you know? It's like, it's like, not to keep harping on, you know, us being dumb travelers, but it's like you really don't know what so much of this stuff is. It was great having Shoya kind of tell us and break it down.
Give us that perspective. Give you those like little kind of like in between things that you can't quite figure out on your own, but just make so much sense and help you kind of navigate this new land that you've never been to so much better. So yeah, just can't recommend enough. Go travel, go do jiu-jitsu, go to a gym you've never been to before, and just go train and just go talk to the people. It's the most incredible part about jiu-jitsu is that you just have this like-minded community, really no matter where you go in the world. It's incredible.
Now, don't get it twisted and think you're going to show up at Shoya's gym and have a good roll with Shoya.
Yeah.
He's going to smash you, bro. These guys are...
He'll be very nice about it.
Yeah.
But he'll smash you.
Yeah, you will be just as lost as if you just got dropped in freaking Shinjuku and you're like trying to find somewhere to eat. That's how you're going to feel when you're rolling with some of these top guys, you know? I see some comments sometimes that are like, oh, do this, do that. It's like, no, you don't get it. I didn't know jiu-jitsu at that moment. Like,
Yeah, you no longer have.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it. That's how I felt that time I rolled with PJ on camera. I was just like, for 35 minutes had never done jiu-jitsu in my life.
Yeah.
It feels so different. Like once these guys get a hold of you, you're like, what am I doing here? How did I get here?
Yeah, I think like an example I was talking with Reed about was like, or maybe Ray, was like the last time I rolled with Adam, and it was like, Adam kind of let me get it started. So I pulled guard straight into like my best guard, my A game. And as soon as I got it, I was like, oh, well, I don't actually know anything to do here. It's like it just, maybe if I was rolling against another, you know, purple belt hobbyist in the gym, for sure I would know what to do. But like, not whenever it's a world champion. It's just like, it doesn't work quite the same, you know?
Like, oh, okay.
Well, also, like the camera like de-ranks you by at least a full belt, you know, or like a belt and a half.
Yeah.
Still, you know?
Sometimes it's brutal editing a video with yourself doing
Oh,
jiu-jitsu, and it's like, oh, dang, I thought I looked awesome in this. I thought I was on my Jansen Gomez passing.
Going back through our rolls with Shoya, I was like, man, I feel like I felt pretty good like the first 2 minutes and stuff. And it's like, oh yeah, that's just because Shoya was just doing nothing.
Yeah, just like
Just having a small conversation with the group next to you.
Yeah. Shoya was just letting me get grips back and just giving me positions, and like that's why I felt pretty good. That's right. That's right.
that little thing you guys just saw in the video, that was like a fortune telling thing. So you kind of like you give some yin, and then you like draw this stick, and it tells you where to pull your fortune from, and it kind of reads out a fortune. It was so funny. Like I pulled it, and it's all in like Japanese, and Shoya's like, "Can you read it?" And I was like, "No,
Obviously
dude,
not.
I can't read any of this." And he was like, "Oh, well, your fortune's very bad." And I was like, "Oh no!" And then he like keeps looking at it more, and he's like, "Oh yeah, it's really bad." But he never told me what it was. He just kept saying it's really bad.
Bad things,
Yeah,
bad
but
stuff.
and then he pulled one. Also, his was bad. Reed pulled one, also bad. But then he told us that like some temples give more good, some give more bad. This one is the drastic end of giving bad. But the beautiful thing is that means this is up to today. This is right now. And so now we fold it up and you tie it and you leave it and you leave the bad fortune behind, because now tomorrow's the better day. Next year's an even better day. And so I got a lot of good fortune coming my way, and I plan on cashing in on it. So no one try to wrong me anytime soon. I built up a lot of karma in Japan. This is inside the temple. You can see Shoya praying there at the temple. I got in on that action. I was nervous. Assassin's Creed Shadows prepared me for this, though. You can go around in Assassin's Creed and you can do the prayer at different temples. So
Dude, I almost bought Assassin's Creed Shadows this weekend because you were talking about it so much when we were in Japan, and I was
love
like,
it.
I kind of want to play it. Just
What were you gonna buy it for?
PS5.
5. Oh, you got a PS5?
Yeah, I got a PS5.
got it like that.
Dude.
I've played like one game on it. I bought it like last year, and
What was the game?
the Hogwarts one.
That's a great fun one.
Legacy.
Strong game, dude.
Yeah, it was super fun. It was super fun.
But yeah, Assassin's Creed is a great game. It's
I
one of my
I might buy it.
favorite games all time, but
You
this
know,
one's.
July 4th weekend coming up. Might have to buy it this weekend.
Yeah.
We'll see.
But and then we tried some little sweets here. This is a secret for everyone at home. If you want to be a jiu-jitsu grappler and you want to do it in the Japanese style, which I would describe as like a not passable guard, insane guard retention, insane flexibility, the samurai spirit, always having heart, fighting till the end. Shoya told us you got to drink green tea during training and you got to eat these little treats. I think it's called anko. It's like a bread with like red bean paste in the middle.
Red bean paste is big over
Like
there.
a pastry?
It's super big. It's like it's not really pastry level.
pastry-esque.
Yeah.
Like a cake type?
Yeah, it's like a soft bread.
fried.
Not really fried.
Not
No.
fried.
But it's like a soft bread outside, like a sweet bread with sweet bean paste in the middle.
It feels kind of like a Christmas like type pastry type thing,
Yeah.
to be honest.
But they're pretty good for sure. So, yeah, it's a little bit about Japan.
Yeah, we had a great time in Japan. More vlogs coming out. We got some more stuff coming out. Sarah Galvao made her black belt debut out there as well. We followed her around. We went to a national park, 2-hour Nico National Park with Adam Wardzinski. Saw huge waterfalls and just some incredible temples out in the middle of these like huge sequoia forests and stuff. That was really incredible. Igor Tanabe was out there.
Fat Ninja.
Fat Ninja, one of my faves. Great to see him back out there. Just he had a sick kento choke on somebody, kind of in the semifinals, I think, or quarterfinals. Sam Nagai had a great run out there as well. I think he closed out with his teammate in the finals.
Andy Murasaki.
Andy Murasaki had double gold. Andy Murasaki looked like a beast out there. Beat Igor Tanabe in the finals. And then a lot of just kind of Japanese talent, of course, the purple belts and brown belts. A lot of guys that we weren't super hip to, but that we were getting super hip to. So
Definitely, yeah. So like Sarah Galvao double golded at black belt, so that was her black belt debut. She double gold, Andy double gold, and then you kind of mentioned the others and stuff. Real quick before we go into all the recaps and stuff, though, Reed bought a samurai sword.
I did buy a samurai sword.
Dude, tell him the experience of buying a samurai sword in Japan. That was a pretty awesome.
It was sick. Well, we walked.
You're holding out on us.
I know. I forgot. Yeah, they sent it to me. They mailed it back to me, and I just got it on like Thursday. So basically all weekend I was just practicing my katas, in the backyard and everything like that, and I'm pretty good.
Yeah.
At it these days, So watch out. Don't mess with me either. No.
Who do you think wins? You with a samurai sword or me with a good old fashioned American Louisville slugger, huh?
Me with a samurai sword.
Really?
1000%.
Really?
1000%.
Okay. All right. But buying the sword was
No, buying the sword was awesome. It was called like Ginza Shiodu or something like that was the store.
Maybe.
Ginza
I
Shiodu.
think Ginza is a type of sword.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but a really awesome place. It was kind of this hole-in-the-wall spot, very kind of traditional Japanese. And it was kind of like, if you're not buying a sword, don't come in here, basically, is like what it said.
not for window shopping.
Yeah. So, like, once we walked in, it was kind of like, all right, we kind of have to buy a samurai sword now, but it was like they had like a very small kind of like front of the shop that just had like a bunch of samurai swords, but then they brought us into the back room where it just had all these like 13th century, like 14th century, like legitimate, just old school samurai swords, just incredible craftsmanship, gold and everything. Just these old badass looking samurai sword. They were all like 5 million yen and stuff like that.
Yeah, like I saw one that was up to like 10 million yen and stuff, which
Yeah.
would be like $100,000 plus US, and like. It was incredible though, because I was like, I don't know what it's gonna be like trying to acquire a samurai sword in Japan, but it was like so authentic, like over the top to a point that I was like, oh wow, I didn't realize you could even see these. Let alone,
yeah, I didn't even know we were gonna go into the back room and see like these actual authentic like 13th century like used samurai sword, and it had like the name of the bladesmith and everything like that, who made it and everything. Like it was just like an incredible just museum of samurai swords, and it was busy back there. They were doing a bunch of stuff on the table too and everything. Like I don't even know what they were doing, but it was crazy. And so, obviously I went for like the cheapest samurai sword that they had, but it was kind of like an Edo period replica samurai sword. It's like it's got a blue handle with a dragon on it, and it's got this like red, like kind of speckled case. Like it just feels super cool having it on your hip and then just taking it out. Like you just feel super cool. And then like once I was like, all right, I'm gonna buy this one, then they brought us into like the third back room, like the
third chamber.
Like the real back room.
It was serious, dude. It wasn't like a playful thing. They were like,
shop.
Dude, no,
Everybody
it was like
in
business.
suits, and like they sat us down with suits, and we had to sign a bunch of stuff, and had to go over a bunch of things and whatnot. And they had like pictures of like Nicolas Cage buying a samurai sword, So I was like, oh hell yeah, me and Nicolas.
That sounds
Cage.
about right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that tracks.
So I just had pictures of all these, all these like celebrities buying samurai swords from this place, and then that room was where it had like all the armor, all the samurai armor, authentic like used samurai armor. So like that was definitely one of the funnest, just like retail experiences I guess we had for sure. And I wasn't sure I was gonna buy one, but then once we were there and we saw everything, it was like, all right, we gotta pull the trigger. And then they shipped it back over, came like within less than a week. And so all weekend I was just been messing around with this samurai sword, just flipping.
Are you gonna like put it up on display on your wall or?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I got a little display for it as well. That they gave me that for free, which was very nice of them.
Up on the wall. Reed's gonna be flipping burgers this weekend, 4th of July on the grill with that thing like on his back, like flipping with the thing and getting in there. You talking about Nick? I use this friggin' thing.
Yeah.
So like his brother's gonna be like, I don't know, man. I think mine's overcooked. And he's gonna be like, oh, is it? Shing, and just cut it in half. And he's like, well, I guess that won't do, will it?
Oh, you want
like-
that?
that's like
You want
the-
that pink in the middle? Let's just check the middle real
that's
quick.
like
Just
the,
lay that on the table. Just lay it on the table.
Reed,
Put it in your hand. Put it in your.
It's like the John Belushi skit from SNL where he's cutting the sandwiches.
Yeah.
Seen that? Oh,
Samurai
classic.
chef. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, super sick time in Japan for sure. We have the first episode's out. We have 3 more coming. Like Reed said, the second episode is going to be we're at the Asian Championship, kind of diving into some of the more colored belts. Sarah Galval's there coaching her husband. Then we go with the Galvals to an arcade and we challenge them to some Super Mario Bros. Listen, they whooped me in Super Mario or Mario Kart. They whooped me in some Mario Kart, whatever. But then your boy had to get some redemption on the old heavy bag punching game. And listen, I'm the heavy hands division of FloGrappling for a reason. I don't want to spoil the video, but let's just say Andre Galval, shocked. The face became a little long. He didn't know what was going on, and you'll have to check the vlog to see how that played out. But then we go
Trey versus Andre in a punching machine. Who do you think won?
Yeah, drop a comment and let me know who you think wins in a punching like power game. Trey versus Andre Galval. And remember
Thumbnail, by the way.
Yeah, remember Andre's legacy. Fought in Japan many of times. He's a legend.
Dream champion.
Yeah, we walk around Japan and everyone's taking photos with Andre. It was kind of nuts. But then episode 3, we go to the Nikko National Park with Adam Wardzinski and his family. Jan, his son, will probably be a vital part of the vlog. Jan's awesome. One of my best friends, one of my closest friends in the whole world is Adam's 4-year-old son, Jan. And then episode 4, we just dive all in on the black belts at the Asian Championship. So super cool to get to go out there. It definitely felt like a special moment. It wasn't lost on us, I feel like, to realize how special that was to be in Japan, getting to make videos about jiu-jitsu. So that was incredible for sure. But you guys want to recap some of the events we watched this weekend? What event should we start with, Joe?
Man, let's start with Aiga. I feel like Aiga was really popping off, and I know we have some videos and stuff like that. It was the Champions League final, all of the last 2 years, all the team events, the check mats, the 10th planets, the Casais down in Brazil, kind of got it going, and then it was an awesome event. I know here we have a really cool match, Isaac versus Chris Wojcik. There's just so many like quality matchups like this. These are 2 world-class guys, and this was actually with the duel on the line, 3-3.
This is Al Leon versus
Williams. Boom, right into that armbar.
Insane armbar from Isaac.
One of the craziest submissions of the year, to be honest. And you see Chris is super broke up about it. The thrill of victory, agony of defeat moment right there. But that was to advance to the finals. That was absolutely nuts. There were so many interesting matches throughout the weekend. A lot of stuff going on. Big Dan nearly tossing Isaac literally over top of him.
Out of Kazakhstan. He almost just threw him out of Kazakhstan.
Friggin' put him
head over
atmosphere.
biscuit.
Yeah, awesome.
So it was just an awesome event.
Yeah, I feel like we've been waiting to see Isaac, get a really big win or get a great win here for the last, little bit. He had a match on Who's Number One against Pedro where we didn't really
Rematched Pedro on this, by the way, and beat Pedro down at 185. I know Pedro's been kind of talking about 185. That did not go according to plan for him on that one.
Dang. So yeah, awesome to see Isaac get a big submission win right there. We just know how good Isaac is, and I'm not sure we've seen the best Isaac over the last couple events that he's done. So great to see him kind of show out.
Yeah, maybe for some people watching who might not, because I do think the Aiga stuff can get a little confusing. I think at this point a lot of people know more about it and everything, but just the overall like how Aiga works. Like they've been doing qualifiers up to this point, and this is the final like finals where they bring in all the teams that have qualified. And how many teams started? Like 8 teams, right? So there's 8 teams to begin with. There's Williams' team, which was formerly Team Modolfo. That's like a lot of the ADCC guys and stuff like Isaac, Giancarlo,
Big Dan,
Machado was
Felipe Machado, Dante is on this team, and then the other teams. There was definitely some shakeups. Like I feel like a lot of people who were originally in kind of end up pulling out, or teams that had qualified didn't end up being able to make it. But all of the teams were so stacked. It was mind-boggling to be like, oh wow, dude, we're gonna get Dante Leon versus DeAndre Corby. Then we're gonna get Dante Leon versus Fabricio Andre, and like Giancarlo versus Roberto. It's like some insanely high-level matches across there. But basically, the teams had to win in the quarterfinals, the semis, and then a champion was crowned throughout this team event. But it's each team goes up against their weight class, and it's 3 5-minute rounds is the format. It's like points count, right? You carry over your points each round the overall score?
You don't carry your points over, but you win 2 out of 3 rounds. You win the match, and there's no points for the first 2 minutes like ADCC, and then there's no points period. First 2 minutes, no points. Next 3 minutes of every round is points. But then it's whoever wins 2 out of 3 rounds. Submission ends at any time, but takedowns count at any time during the round.
Yeah.
So they're kind of like trying to favor wrestlers a little bit more. So even if you're in the quote-unquote no points period, you can go score those 2 points very early on. And we saw that throughout. There was a ton of great matches. There was a lot of upsets. There was a lot of like guys you've never heard of from throughout Asia, from Central Asia, from Russia, coming through and having some really incredible performances. Kynan got upset at one point. Roberto got upset. Elijah Dorsey at one point by all these guys who you don't really know because they're, kind of training over there. And I think that's exciting. Like you guys were talking about with Asia, seeing that region continue to develop and continue to churn out more world level fighters. If we could see more of these Dagestan guys come through and continue to develop into world-class talent, I think that's awesome too.
Yeah, like I think the best one's got to be like Ruslan, right?
Yeah.
Ruslan Abdullayev. He's got some big wins now, kind of over top guys. He ended up beating Kynan on, I think, a decision. Yeah. Maybe I don't know if he got the points for it, but so there's like 2 kind of mainly Dagestan teams, right? Battle Force and Universal Fighters.
Yeah. I think there might have been one more when 10th Planet pulled out.
Gotcha. Well, I know there was Battle Force, Universal Fighters, Al Leon, Acai Republic, Kasai, Williams team. And that's
Acai, right?
Yeah. And I don't remember who we're forgetting.
I don't remember who we're forgetting either.
Checkmat. Checkmat was in there. Is that the last one? Or
might be the last one.
Yeah. But so definitely some sick teams overall. But the finals ended up coming down to Kasai and Williams' team. I think there was a few teams that could have definitely won this. Obviously,
this is a great one right here.
Yeah. Checkmat's a contingent for sure. But then Acai Republic, Al Leon, Williams' team, and Kasai were all pretty stacked from top to bottom. Williams' team and Kasai obviously being the most stacked.
Yeah, this is a crazy scramble right here, I feel like, to end.
I think in this match somewhere, Giancarlo hits this chest wrap counter, which was so sick. But
these 2 dudes were all over each other. This is kind of a match like I hadn't really thought about a lot, Giancarlo versus Roberto, but like, damn, I want to see this 10 times.
Yeah.
I mean, these dudes are just both so sick. Winning team comes away with $500,000 to be split up amongst the team. Yeah, like you said, Kasai, which is run by Rich, who used to run the Kasai events, comes away with the first place there. It's awesome. Aiga always puts on awesome events. We weren't able to hold it on Flow this time, maybe in the future. But they still delivered on a ton of great matches over the weekend.
Yeah, this is all on their YouTube channel, so go check out the Aiga YouTube channel if you want to watch all this. Definitely worth watching.
Roberto's really hitting his stride, right? Look at what he's doing to Giancarlo, who's obviously like world class and one of the best to ever do it, kind of, at this point. But the takedowns, the back takes, he's entering into legs. This might have been the best Roberto I've ever seen, and I've seen some really good Roberto.
True.
Yeah, definitely some nuts interactions between these guys here. Who else do you guys think was kind of some standout people from this event?
Definitely have to put somebody like Fabricio on there. I think Fabricio looked awesome beating Dante, who had just beaten DeAndre. So I'm gonna have to figure out what I'm gonna do with the rankings at 155. That's a big mess now. But yeah, Fabricio beating Dante and then throwing on the Hokage Naruto headband, I thought was super cool. Dorian Oliveras looked really good. Isaac looked really good. Felipe Machado beat
Pato.
Jimmy. Pato looked incredible.
Really good.
Got slammed by Jason Nolf.
Yeah,
I thought that was really funny.
Yeah, I thought Dante looked really good, especially that match DeAndre versus Dante. I will also say I thought DeAndre looked really good. It's kind of like all these dudes looked really good.
Did you see the takedown that people are arguing about? Because I am seeing some dialogue about that, about whether or not DeAndre. It was kind of a Dante wrestles up, DeAndre throws him back down. Should it have been a takedown? Should it not? Like, how long do we really spend on our feet? Kind of situation. I don't know. It was a really close match.
Look at these young guys just freaking
Unbelievable.
throwing
Yeah,
caution to the
Dom just
wind.
went at it like
Dorian
crazy.
and Dom, teammates here, dude.
Yeah,
They
two
freaking
teammates.
they don't care.
Dom also picked up an awesome submission win over Gianni Grippo. That was just a beautiful knee bar that he was able to transition into.
Yeah, it's just crazy how many matches they run on Aiga and how many just 54, and then just like we get to see so many high level guys against each other. You know, it's like when will we ever really get to see Roberto versus Giancarlo? You know, unless it's like on a big Who's Number One or something like that. So it's just awesome to see just like big names going against each other.
100%. I'm really happy we got to see Dorian again. I feel like he's a guy who, after ADCC trials and leading into ADCC, there was so much hype and so much curiosity around him, and rightfully so. He's so world class, right? But then didn't have the ADCC he wanted. Did really well at Nogi Worlds, but like you're just not seeing him pop up on some of these bigger shows or anything. So to see him at something like this, where he gets to really flex his muscle, like you do kind of get reminded, like, yeah, Dorian is just a hurricane out there for these guys.
Definitely. I feel like this is like probably what's going on in their gym, you know, like at
every
New
day.
Wave. And John's probably like, hey, boys, like, let's control it a little. Let's, but definitely sick matches on Aiga for sure.
Yeah, and then Pato had that heel hook where there was kind of like a little scuffle.
Shak Banov came.
I don't know if you could find that one, Slack.
It's like the 4 hour mark, four somewhere around there.
These were long. Like you were saying, man, I was tied to this literally all weekend, just like watching, watching Polaris, watching a bunch of stuff for American Nationals. There's just so much going on.
Oh,
This is also the problem because if it's so long that if you go back even a slight iota, it's like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It's hard.
No, it's all good. Yeah, and there's just so many weird matches like Jason Nolf facing Diego Pato. That's so crazy to see, like one of the best.
I think it's right before that.
yeah.
That long break because they're kind of trying to figure out what the heck's going on. And
There's no preview, so I can't.
Keep going back because it's
like 4 hours and 30 minutes somewhere around there.
Yeah.
In there, you can kind of see this little thing that happens where Pato goes for the submission. Maybe the guy taps or says something, but the match keeps going.
Dude, you rolled with a dude from Dagestan in Japan, right?
I did, yeah.
What did he have to say
I forget his
about
name? He fought Fat Ninja in the at the Asian Championships.
Fat Ninja, I'm happy to say, sounds like he's coming back to Jiu-Jitsu because MMA, there's some kind of like almost Lovato like brain abnormality where like he's not able to continue competing in MMA, but he will be able to continue in Jiu-Jitsu.
Now just click back with your keys.
Oh, 3 hours and 30 minutes. Sorry.
Here, see.
Yeah. All right, so here we go. We got Pato versus one of the Universal Fighters, grapplers. You guys know how dangerous Pato is on the legs.
Terrifying.
Yeah, for real.
And I think Pato, when they're going to roll here for an outside heel hook in a second, Pato right around here might have thought the guy tapped or something because he does start talking to the referee, and so he's like, "Okay, bro, we can just do it again real quick."
And he starts yelling at him, and then there's
Yeah, he shouts at him.
He says something about tapping. Like, I don't know if it's like, why didn't you tap or you already tapped or something, but you can.
I don't feel like Pato would say, "Why didn't you tap?" So
I feel like
he's perfectly fine if you don't want to tap. Yeah,
I feel like on the replay here, you can see him kind of like he does kind of like tap Pato's knee, like when they're kind of like spinning, he kind of like taps Pato's knee.
Well, there's that sort of like horrific to watch reflex of someone who's trying not to tap.
Yeah.
Their hands shoot down to like their thighs basically, and they're fighting every instinct to like multiple taps, you know?
Look at the background here. You look at these boys getting a little, they're rustling. The boys are rustling in the background a little bit. Something's getting rowdy. You got Taliesin and videographer roll over there for Kasai.
Yeah, let's keep it playing here.
World's most dangerous videographer.
Yeah.
Because Mateus Diniz gets up in here.
Yeah, so this guy, this is like a coach or something. for them.
Shakpanov.
And then boom, Mateus Diniz hits him with the big boy shove. A little Brazilian power there, dude. Let him know what's up. And then he's got Capri's on trying to fight everybody.
Yeah, but this dude's already angling out. That
So
could
here,
have
you
escalated
can-
further.
watch him potentially tap the knee right here. See right there? Like,
That's where
Right.
Pato thinks
Yeah.
it was a tap.
Yeah, and he looks up at the ref like, we calling that or?
I don't know if that's what happened, but that's what it
Well, you'd
seems
think
like.
though, if
Man, I've seen Pato break a lot of legs. If he
Right
and I've never seen him do this.
He kind of taps the
yeah,
knee.
that is a weird motion. I don't know.
Kind of does it with both hands too.
And then Pato gets just a gnarly grip on it.
Yeah.
Never seen
Yells at
Pato
him.
react like that. Never seen Pato react.
Yeah, Pato's
anywhere
pissed,
like
man.
that.
But then, yeah, so this whole time while they're showing this replay and stuff, like there's something afoot with all the teams. They're kind of still going at it and everything. I'll be honest, bro, like watching Aiga last year and stuff, like Universal Fighters doesn't like to lose. Like those guys
Especially
aren't
leg
the
locks.
biggest fans of losing, and they will often offer up a fight afterwards. The dude you rolled with from
Oh, yeah.
Dagestan.
Yeah, I rolled with this dude in Dagestan from Dagestan at the hero class, the Carpe Diem hero class that we did, and then he told me that in Dagestan it's customary to win a jiu-jitsu match and then have to go outside and then fist fight that person after, because that's just how they do it in Dagestan.
Jiu-jitsu's just not enough.
Yeah, jiu-jitsu's not enough. It's a little bit more of like a sport to them, and they don't like sports. They really don't like sports. They like fights. They like fighting, you know? And so it's like if you win in a sport context, which jiu-jitsu is considered a sport context, well, then now you have to fight them in an actual fight afterwards. So
Like, bro, imagine you go to compete in Dagestan and you just have the tournament of your life. You go on a run, 4 for 4, all submissions. You're feeling on top of the world. And then you're like, you know, you got your girlfriend there with you. You freaking, your boys are with you. And you step outside and there's 4 dudes lined up being like, all right, now you have to fist fight 4 guys in a row. Like, good luck. Like,
Oh, yeah.
that would be insane, bro.
sounds like a terrible day in Dagestan. I don't know.
Dude, 100%. We were talking about, you know, traveling, doing jiu-jitsu and all that. Don't compete in Dagestan is my takeaway. Like, don't just be like a bright-eyed, bushy-tailed foreigner going to Dagestan and be like, yeah, how cool would it be to, you know, test my skills in Dagestan? And like, well, you just have to fist fight 4 guys
Yeah,
afterwards.
you
so.
take back everything you said about jiu-jitsu and traveling.
Yeah,
language.
yeah.
Just go there, do some jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. And honestly, bro, like, I don't know how good you are as a viewer watching this right now. I don't know how good you are at fighting. You lose that fight. Even if you win the jiu-jitsu match, you lose that one. Maybe you win the first one, and maybe you kind of have a draw the second one. You lose the third and get beat up bad. Like, so that's gnarly rules over there. It's like, hey, bro, we agreed on the rule set. It was a jiu-jitsu competition. I don't want to fist fight you guys, but you know, Pato got a little taste of that, I guess. But shout out Mateus Diniz. I thought it was funny how hard Mateus Diniz shoved that guy just off the
Yeah, he
right.
went for his
immediately,
yeah.
Like, I don't give a shit. Like,
I saw those same guys at a tournament last year start a fight. This is like, yeah, like you're saying, this is just so far from a rare thing for these guys.
but overall, Aiga was sick. It was sick watching. The production value is pretty
And then
incredible.
Team Williams ended up taking the trophy, the finals.
Kasai did.
Team Kasai, sorry.
Yeah, Kasai ended up beating Williams in the finals. So they got that 500 grand cash prize. I think Williams took home like 300 grand. So, you know, the spoils go to the victor, but not bad spoils to the second place as well, I will say.
Pretty tough.
But super sick there. But that wasn't the, you got something to add there?
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to transition to the next thing because, you know, we're talking about fighting like 4 or 5 people in a row. So I kind of want to talk about Polaris because we had that squads event and we saw a bunch of people just have these awesome runs where, you know, it's kind of my favorite part of squads or quintet or anything is like if you win, you stay on the mat. And if you beat 4 or 5 people, like we did see a couple of people do this weekend, you can just stay and keep running table and racking up points for your team.
Freaking squad wiping, dude. It feels like I'm back just 4v4 on Rust, no scopes, snipers only, trick shots only. You know, got to squad wipe these fools. That was a little bit of the vibe at Polaris. I think it was Margot, right?
That was exactly the vibe
Yeah.
of Polaris. That was exactly the vibe that I was catching to.
Margot, this was a pretty sick event. It was North America versus Europe, but it was a women's squads event on Polaris, and a like basically all of the top names in female jiu-jitsu were there, missing a couple, but definitely it was super sick. But Margot went on a 5-match win streak, right? Yeah. This was in the second half of Polaris. I'm not going to lie. A lot of different jiu-jitsu, a lot of different rule sets, some of them slightly confusing, like at these events. Aiga's, slightly confusing rules. Polaris, very specific, not as confusing, but very specific rules where they do 5-minute matches and those run until they hit the 45-minute mark, right? Yes. Then there's a halftime. Then they do another set, like a second half of 5-minute matches until it hits the 90-minute total mark. So if there's a bunch of submissions, that means there'll be more matches. Like more people have to come out and compete. You can compete multiple times. So like, I can't remember what happened in Margot's first appearance in the first half, but I think she lost. Like maybe she won.
I think she lost to somebody bigger, like Liz Mitrovic or something like that.
I think someone was on a run and like they had like a 3-match or something, and Margot might have been a part of that. But then she came back and had the biggest run of all the people and went on a 5-match win streak in the second half. But yeah, overall it was a pretty sick event. North America ended up getting the Dubski.
Polaris is just like one of the funnest events to just watch, kind of like start to finish too, to be
Definitely.
honest. Like just the production value is incredible, and they always have the best names and everything like that. And it just moves quick, the 5-minute matches and everything like that. You know, it just moves fast.
Yeah, and like once you get into that squads thing, it kind of just doesn't stop until like that halftime and then until it ends, because it's like 5-minute match. I think it's either 30 seconds or a 1-minute break between matches, and then it's just right back, like a whole new problem going on out there between two different grapplers or a new grappler kind of going against the person who just won. So Margot had a great appearance. I remember Taylor Highshaw. I think she kicked it off well in the first half. She went on a 3-match win streak for North America, and then I can't remember where it went
and
from
Helena
there.
At the end, because it looked like Team Europe was going to win. And actually something that's really interesting about this event is Team Europe won more matches. But they didn't get any submissions. Team North America had 2 submissions. Those count for an extra point. Team North America wins by 1. So clearly those submissions counted by for a lot. And it was after Margot went on this crazy run, 5 matches that she won, including beating BSM. Probably her biggest win, because BSM's been on, she was just in the World Absolute Finals in December. But she then Helena takes the mat, submits Margot, obviously very impactful, and then wins, I think, 2 more matches, maybe 3 more matches. And then there's like 90 seconds left in the 90 minutes. You know what I mean? There was a minute 37, I think it was, left, and she faces Sula Lowenthal, who was a trials winner last year. And Sula actually pulled out the victory. If Sula was able to submit her, she would have, I guess, won it for her team or at least tied it. But yeah, just crazy match. Sula was able to get to the mount like 30 milliseconds into the fight.
Yeah, I mean, Sula had a great game plan going in, right? Because she obviously Helena is going to sit immediately, and so whenever Helena went to sit, Sula just sprinted and jumped off the rip and just jumps to mount as Helena's sitting guard. There's no connection, nothing. She just literally jumps over it, and immediately it looks dangerous. She kind of gets the arm, a straight arm lock kind of on Helena, but Helena obviously has great escapes and stuff. But it kind of just keeps going that way, and I don't feel like Helena could really ever turn the tide and get the step. Yeah, get the step up on Sula, and so Sula ended up getting the win. So it was obviously a crazy, awesome way for Team Europe to end all of the matches, because that was the end of the event. But then it was still North America who got the win and officially took it home. But it looked like everybody was having a great time. Everybody was celebrating. Both teams were picking the ladies up and celebrating and all that. So it seemed like it was a great time in Swansea, Wales.
Genuinely, I think it's one of the most elite showcases of women's grappling, for an event that I've ever seen. It was really something. I thought they did an awesome job. The production value, like you said, was really, really high. They got a really good quality of athlete to come in, and the athletes put it all on the line. And ton of credit belongs to them. They went out there and they did the damn thing. It was awesome.
For sure. And so Owen O'Flanagan also got a dubski on that one. I think he finished a Z-lock. It was kind of hard to tell, but I'm pretty sure it was a Z-lock. Yeah. And then Owen Jones was on he was actually on the prelims. He was the last match on the free YouTube prelims, I think, because they only feature really the squads and then one kind of other feature match on the pay-per-view side of it. But Owen Jones got a dubski. He won by decision. And overall, yeah, sick event. The other big event that happened, I will say this one feels like it was years ago at this point, but UFC BJJ 1 went down on Thursday, where you saw Mikey versus Harrison Gabriel, Carlos Henrique was in the finals against Danilo Moreira from their kind of reality show, as well as who am I forgetting from the other? Andrew and Andy Varela. Yep. So, what do you guys think of UFC BJJ? Were you guys watching this one?
I was watching. I thought it was a cool event for sure. I thought Andrew Tackett is kind of the story of all of it so far. Who do we have here? We have Carlos and Danilo. And Carlos obviously looked incredible too. I thought he was really, maybe the breakout guy from the season, to be honest. You know what I mean? And Danilo made a really, I don't think a lot of people were penciling Danilo Moreira into the finals, but he looked awesome here. He looked awesome throughout the tournament. But Carlos really showed that, like, man, tough for him to make 155, very big 155. But he's super world class when he gets here. He's tough for anybody. And I think these guys had a fun little show in the pit. CJI style rules, CJI style pit. It was a good time.
Yeah, Carlos Enrique hit a bunch of arm bars on his way to the victory, and then finished Danilo here with an arm bar. So that was sick for him. But yeah, totally agree that, man, it's like whenever Andrew Tackett is out there on the mats, you got to be watching Andrew Tackett. He's just must-see TV.
Electrifying.
Yeah. Just some of the best, just most explosive jiu-jitsu you'll ever see. He had a great match with a very game opponent, Andy Varela. We all know how good Andy Varela is, and the things. Just a badass dude who you probably don't want to grapple. Real physical guy, and Andrew just really took it to him. Yeah. To be honest,
let's take the video off for a little bit. I don't want to show too much. I don't want UFC to crack down on us and copyright everything. Yeah. They have pretty strict copyright laws, so but
to keep things exclusively over there.
Yeah, and then it was kind of crazy watching the Harrison versus Mikey match. Just the evolution of Mikey Musumeci. This is a guy who's kind of known as a gi grappler for the longest time. And now he's just out there relentlessly shooting leg locks for 15 minutes or however long that match was. So just crazy to see the kind of evolution in Mikey's game. Since he's kind of taken on this no gi challenge. He's become such an elite leg locker, and he ends up finishing Harrison with a leg lock, I believe, in like the third round.
Yeah, third round.
Yeah.
I mean, it was gnarly the whole way through, dude. It was like Harrison was just like eating everything. Like, it was like, oh my God, Harrison. Like, I don't know, man. This is going a bit too far. Like, maybe tap to one of these.
Yeah. He had a lot of good bites basically the entire match, and it felt like at any moment he was just gonna snap Harrison's leg, and. So
sure didn't.
Yeah.
So funny enough, we're starting to see it with the CJI style pit, is where guys will put on like a rolling, something that people need to roll out of. But then they hit the side of the thing and they can't roll no more. And that's how he ended up getting the tap with Harrison, is Harrison was doing a good job of rolling out, but then just ran out of real estate. I don't know if that was the intention of the pit, but it is like an interesting result that we're getting, is more of these rolling attacks are gonna be a thing, right?
Yeah, that is the point, right? Is like you can't roll out of bounds, right?
Yeah. Where do you guys stand with the current use of the pit in jiu-jitsu?
I like it. Yeah, I've come around to it.
Yeah, I'm into it for sure. Yeah, it's like anything you can do to just kind of keep the action happening, right?
That's where I'm at, is like, man, the idea that we can just say go and not deal with it for 5 minutes is awesome. I will say there were a couple of restarts.
I was going to say, although I do say that there were a couple restarts for sure. Just like as like they kind of like run up the pit.
Yeah, guys are getting better at figuring out how to.
You just got to get out of the pit.
Yeah.
Oh well, if I'm out of the pit, they got to stop.
Well, you just keep running up the pit, and then they'll stop it. So, but
I guess that's interesting. Maybe you need sharks around the outside or something.
A moat.
Yeah,
just put a thing up over the top of it where it's like the Thunderdome. Yeah,
that's pretty sick. That's
honestly.
So now we're going to start incorporating just more and more things. Like I feel like AIGA is already like a conglomeration of a bunch of different rules into kind of one setting. Now we're going to start adjusting the arena as well. We're going to have a pit plus a cage plus freaking laser beams and like people.
Plus, we're just going to throw a chimpanzee.
Yeah, and we're going to yell stalling. We're just going to have all kinds of aspects. Guys whipping towels on the side in case people need to cool off. Just every possible grappling thing you can have, we're going to, I guess, incorporate eventually.
I'm a simple man. I just want two good grapplers, an electrified Thunderdome, and all of the gangs from the movie Cobra smashing trash can lids together, saying crime, crime, crime.
Yeah.
As the
is that too much to ask?
I'm a simple man.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I've came around to the pit as well. Also, to be honest, originally when it started getting introduced at like Karate Combat and CJI and everything, I was definitely a little bit like, I don't know, I was weary of it, but it is just one of those things where like no one wants to watch the referee do anything, to be honest. It's kind of like the more you can get that guy not involved in any of the jiu-jitsu, like disrupting any of it. I know obviously in the way a lot of these matches are set up, like who's number one included, like when people go out of bounds, obviously you got to intervene and reset, try to do the restart as true to action as you can or true to itself as you can. But like someone always wins, someone always loses a restart. There was a lot of AIGA restarts where people were just arguing for like 100%. 10 minutes. Like it was just like dudes just being like, no, he didn't have me in a fully locked heel hook when I rolled out of bounds. Like it was like, I don't know.
What guillotine are you talking about?
Yeah. So
that's fine.
The less you can have that, the better for sure. So
I feel like I'm a little bit more out on like the rounds, to be honest.
I don't like the rounds.
Like,
I'm out on rounds.
I feel like I just want to see them go for 15 minutes and
in the
like,
pit.
Yeah, in the pit, and just because like just like that. That moment of reset and we can kind of stop and just kind of recalibrate a little bit. Like, no, I just want to keep seeing the action. I'm already in the moment. I'm already in jiu-jitsu world here. Just keep it going.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. Not out on it completely, but I do feel like that. I do like to just like let them be on the mat and just let them figure it out.
Yeah.
Well, the rounds thing started as a way to be like, oh, well, that's a way for MMA fans to understand the match. How stupid do you have to be to not understand? Yeah, they go for 15 minutes, then we decide a winner. You know what I mean?
Like one round.
Is there anybody that was like an issue for? You know what I mean? Yeah, it's one round, 15 minutes.
I guess I'll stay quiet. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, no, that the thought of a match being like, this is a 15-minute sub-only match. There's not going to be interference in any way or stoppages. So it's like a truly like this match will be 15 minutes or less is kind of like a great thought because so many jiu-jitsu matches are like a 15-minute match that ends up being a 30 minutes, like whatever it is. It takes so long with stoppages, resets, everything that it's like, yeah, I don't know, just like two dudes kind of locked in there and it's like at the end of 15 minutes, we are going to decide who won that jiu-jitsu match. Like that is, a great thought in a utopia, a jiu-jitsu utopia somewhere, where people are just rolling for 15 minutes with no stoppages. Man,
who knows?
Yeah,
but they are asking our opinion.
Yeah, but so I think that was kind of a lot of the main action and stuff.
And then just a real quick shout out. I do think we have some video. I did pull up the video Slack of Rafael Lovato Jr.
True.
Going out there.
What a legend.
Brasileiros Nogi going down to Brazil. This dude's out there all over the place, putting it on the line against some of the best in the world. These young cats, down in Brazil. Trust me, you don't want to fight these guys. And Lovato's going down there, seeking them out and winning. So big shout out to Lovato.
You know what's funny? He's actually facing a Panamanian guy.
Okay.
Because I don't know if he knew that too, because he kept lifting up shirts being like, Obrigado Brazil, and like, going to the guy like, no, I love Brazil. And the guy's like, thanks, I'm Panamanian.
And he puts up a bunch of points here, I think, in the beginning of the match. I think he puts up like 5 or 7 points. I think he mounts them.
But why is this gold medal read so historic? He wins this Nogi Brasileiros medal. This is his last. He has now won all 4 majors, gi and no gi. Rafael Lovato Jr. is the first person to ever do this at the adult black belt level, of course, is what we're talking
he's
about.
a guy who's out there making history, even still late into his career. He's obviously, Lovato burst onto the scene, making history, and here he is, however many years later, 10, 20 years later here, still making history.
It's wild.
18 years later?
Like, in jiu-jitsu generations, like it's a lot shorter, because like young guys come up so fast and everything. Like how many generations has Lovato spanned as like potentially the best guy? Like it's nuts at the It's like still in this day and age where you have like Owen Jones is a rival on the scene, Dorian Oliveira, like Jet Thompson, like these super young dudes who are kind of like.
Owen isn't even a new guy anymore.
Yeah,
you know
true.
I mean? Like that's how fast it moves. Is like Owen's kind of an established name at this point.
Yeah,
it's like young guys dominate the sport so much. We have Mia Funegra now, the youngest ever IBJJF champion at like barely 18 years old. Like I don't even know if it's possible based on the IBJJF promotion rules to beat that at that point. But we still have Lovato just going out and dominating every like event he's in. Like it's really incredible to like be the best, not just to be doing jiu-jitsu for that long, but to like still be the best in your category and everything at jiu-jitsu for that long. So shout out Lovato, what a beast.
Yeah, so a lot happened this weekend in terms of jiu-jitsu.
It was a lot.
American Nationals we didn't even touch on. American Nationals was a lot of fun. Sarah Galvao also in the mix there. Double gold again. Closed out the absolute with Leticia Teixeira.
What a beast.
Yeah, what an absolute beast. So she's just off to an incredible run in her black belt career. And yeah, I mean, we're going from Rafael is in his 40s to Sarah is like 19 or something, you know, however old she is. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. Just talking to Sarah, like even she is kind of like overwhelmed by how fast this is all happening and everything like that. She's like, I feel like it was just like last year I was just like a blue belt, and now all of a sudden she's fighting the best black belts in the world and beating them. So a crazy run that Sarah Galval's on.
I don't think she has any plans on stopping anytime soon either, you know?
Yeah.
I think watching Sarah and the rest of like the Atos Dream Team throughout this year and all the gi majors and everything is one of the things I'm kind of most excited about, you know? Like obviously it would be a huge like accomplishment if Sarah comes out in her rookie year and like wins a major or multiple majors, you know? So I think that's a great long-term storyline to kind of stay hip to and keep watching.
Sarah Galval at the Crown.
Yeah,
I mean, that'd be cool.
Yeah,
it's her weight class is lightweight, and that's the one they run. So the question would be, you know, do you put in another Atos person? I know last year they had Gabby McComb, but considering Sarah's success and she's already winning at the black belt level, I really, you know, I hope at least that they bring in Sarah. I think that she would be the right choice for that event.
Mm-hmm.
That would be super sick. But let's talk a little bit about who's number 129. So this is the next big who's number one we got coming up. One of the biggest jiu-jitsu events on the calendar here soon. And who's number 129 is going down July 25th in Miami, Florida, dude. I think I already told you guys, but, you know, I got my Sunga picked out. I got my Hawaiian shirt. I got some rose-tinted glasses and a Cuban cigar waiting on me in Miami, you know. So I plan on living the lifestyle.
I meant to send this to you, but I do the Duolingo thing for Portuguese, and one of my things this weekend was Tiago has a sunga. Tiago tenho
Hey, there we go. That's when I'm in Brazil, I go by Tiago. You know, some people can't say Trey too well, especially at coffee shops. One time, a group of girls started laughing at me when I tried to tell them Trey, and that was embarrassing, dude. It made me rethink a lot of things, and so I started saying Tiago. It's just easier for everybody. But yeah, Tiago has a sunga. Put it on paper, you know, send it to the presses. But I'm excited for WNO 29 for sure. We've announced 3 matches so far on this one. We've announced 4 matches,
haven't we? Yeah, I think so.
Okay,
Yeah.
4 matches, dude. It's hard to keep up in this fast-moving jiu-jitsu world, but Adele Fornerina versus Jasmine Rocha. That one's actually a bantamweight.
Oh, my bad.
Roberto Jimenez versus Ryan Aitken. Kit Dale versus Wagner Rocha. Michael Sainz versus Nathan Schwang are all announced so far. We have a few more announcements coming, and then we published it today. Owen Jones is going to be on Who's Number 129. That's kind of the X factor right now. We don't have an opponent for him yet. You know, we put out the bat signal and we said Owen Jones is looking for a match. This dude wants to compete on Who's Number 29. We want him to be on Who's Number 129, but we got to find him an opponent, someone who's down to go out there and scrap with young Owen Jones. And so we're looking for an opponent for him. So let us know in the comments, who do you guys want to see? Who do you think would be a great matchup for Owen on Who's Number 1? But out of these matches we have announced so far, what are you guys kind of excited for and everything?
The number one match that I'm personally excited for is probably Adele versus Jasmine. I know it's a rematch from ADCC last year. I think that these are 2 of the biggest trash talkers. These are 2 really big personalities. They're very exciting when they get on the mat. Adele has the fastest submission in WNO women's history. Jasmine has the fastest submission in light bantamweight history on WNO when in her last appearance. So these are obviously 2 super quick starters. Super killers, always going out there looking to mess somebody up. And they're not afraid to talk a little trash along the way. So I'm really, really excited for that matchup. I think that this match being up at 135 really benefits Jasmine. I know that it's easy to look at that first match where they were down at 121. That's a brutal pull for Jasmine. Mm-hmm. She's way bigger than that. And it's not a brutal pull for Adele, who has made 115. I don't want to say comfortably, but like she can make 115, right? So I think
She is the ADCC absolute champ, though.
Also true.
Yeah.
So she's pretty much fine going wherever in weight. But I think that Jasmine is going to be a lot more of the Jasmine that we know and have seen her at her absolute best has been at 135.
Yeah, that kind of bull in the china shop kind of style that she brings. Love that match. Awesome match. A lot on the table there for whoever wins that one. But we've been talking about this one kind of all week as well, is Ryan Aitken versus Roberto Jimenez. You know, 2 dudes that are just kind of like peaking at the same time here right now. Obviously, Roberto's been on the scene for a long time. Ryan has as well, but it feels like both these guys are just kind of like at the top of their games right now. And they're going to clash at Who's Number 129. Obviously, you can buy some tickets if you're in the Florida area, in the Miami area. Come out. Join us for WNO 29. Have a little party. It's gonna be fun. But yeah, Ryan Aitken versus Roberto Jimenez. For my money, it's like rules. There's gonna be some crazy scrambles in that one, man. It's gonna be wild. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. It's kind of in Ryan Aitken's backyard. He's in Atlanta there. We're just down the street in Miami. So hopefully he'll bring out some of his fans and stuff like that. But that for me is a killer matchup.
Those might be the two best guys in the world right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the two top guys that we have ranked right now are at that weight class for Pedro Mourinho and Giancarlo Bodoni. Rankings haven't been updated post Aiga. But like Roberto just beat Giancarlo and Ryan is beating Pedro. So I really think this might just end up being like, we look back at this in a couple of years like, oh yeah, those are actually the two best guys in the world at that point.
Yeah.
Definitely a contenders match, right? Like, you would think one of these guys would potentially get a title shot after this for sure. But yeah, I guess that's what we got coming up on Who's Number 129. Anybody else got any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Just to put the other two matches out there, Michael Sains and Natan and Wagner versus Kit, both super tough. I think Michael is one of my favorite American no-gi prospects. I think that kid's going to do really, really well over the next couple of years.
Yeah, and it's crazy seeing Kit back so soon, taking on another legend. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. The history of jiu-jitsu is etched into the face of Wagner Hosha. So, don't get lost in that too much, Kit, whenever you're doing your voodoo and whatnot. I don't know. Things could go south quick whenever you're dealing in that business.
So Wagner, one of the things with him is always the mental stuff, right? The mind games.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can play mind games with Kit because he's always just fucking around.
He'll try.
I mean?
He'll try.
He's gonna try. That's gonna. But like, what can you say to Kit where he's just not gonna be like,
Dude, Kit's playing his own mind games. He cares way more than he lets on. I don't know. It's like he has something going on there with the joking thing, trying to get people to underestimate him maybe or something. I don't know. But I think that one will be sick for sure as well. But overall, Who's Number 129 should be great. Like Reed said, get your tickets now at tickets.flowsports.tv. A lot of cool jiu-jitsu on the horizon. This was a big weekend, but we got a lot more sick jiu-jitsu coming up soon. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.